Good morning, good evening, or good day. Welcome to the Z to Z podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I am your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming and, in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. This week's show, we crack open an interview with the king of completions himself, #1 in TA score, the second highest gamerscore in the world. The one and only Smirnov sits down with a chat with Terrigan. And in the spirit of Easter, we've got a nice smattering of zombie news. And finally, we have got some fantastic information on the knobs and discos front. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 15. You can also contact us with questions or comments at Twitter. That's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Easter Egg from the game Aliens Colonial Marines. This is a special holiday-themed achievement since we're recording this on Good Friday just before the Easter weekend. There are many games that include Easter eggs, but this term more refers to hidden items within the games, metaphorically speaking. Well, Aliens Colonial Marines takes the term quite literally, and although this game is a hot pile of garbage, you can earn this 5 gamer score fairly quickly. On the second mission, you come to a door near the beginning of the level requiring a key code. You enter the key code and then backtrack a little into the room you were just in, and a new door has opened. Behind that door is a room filled with facehugger pods, painted like Easter eggs. Something tells me they're not filled with chocolate bunnies. Special thanks to developer Gearbox and publisher Sega for that egg-citing achievement. Bam! Right in the puns. If you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, just let us know. You can contact us via Facebook, Twitter @Z2Z, that's ZEDTOZED, or email us contact@Z2Z.com. Hell, you could even put it in an iTunes or podcast review, which would be much, much appreciated. So let's get this show started with an introduction of my co-host. And here today, I am joined by Terrigan. How are you doing today, sir?
Good generic time of the day. I'm pretty good. Yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you much. It's been a bit. I feel like we've been on radio silence all week.
Yeah, it's been quite
busy.
Yeah, I've had a few things going on, but yeah, it's been an interesting week. I've gone through a bunch of my old rare games actually. Given I got knocked out of the UHH, I've kind of gone to my backlog, so to speak, and pulled up a bunch of very rare Korean games, amongst other things. But I'll get to that during the recap.
Sure, gotcha. So I know you guys know that I had been doing that weight loss challenge thing. That workout challenge.
Yeah.
So that's done. So the bad news is I didn't win the $1,000. It wasn't the best. Although I feel like the guy who did win, I had numbers that were like his. Now, the good news is that there will be no naked pictures of me on the internet. So that's good.
Aww.
I mean, I have a picture of me in my underwear, modeling my new muscles, but...
maybe we can put that in place of Crandy's mug.
Yeah, right? It'll be Brandon's mug, which is his face.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But so my overall numbers, I'll just go through them here, because I feel great. It's fantastic. I dropped 25 pounds, so I went from 200 pounds down to 175.
What's
my
that?
body fat,
What's that in normal measurements?
not pounds. I don't know my kilos.
Okay,
sorry. 30% body fat dropped down to 25%, so I lost 5% overall body fat, which was good. My waist, my belly, I dropped 7 inches off my belly.
Wow.
And my hip, my weight, where you cinch up a belt, I dropped 4 pant sizes.
That's kind of bad, right? It means you need to buy all new pants.
I do. Well, yeah, I do. I do need new clothes, but I was super pumped. I'm like, man,
that's awesome.
I feel great now. It's awesome. So, and I'm still doing it. I'm still doing the working out part of it because I like it. I can't do the gym thing because like I'm not motivated at the gym, but like if you go to a class and like these people are like, you got to do 20 of this, and I'm like, okay, yep, you're the boss. Like, and then I just kick the crap out of a kickboxing bag or whatever. Like, I can do that. Like, if someone tells me what to do, I can do that. But if I have to go and do it myself, I'm way too lazy for that. That's why achievements are great, because it's like, here's the list. Go do the list. It's like, I'm on it. Yeah, you got it, sir.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've actually, I've got to lose a bit of weight myself, and I'm actually seriously considering picking up the Xbox Fitness app in a serious way. And and achievements are going to be my motivation for that, of course.
For sure. I think X Towers was doing that. I think I saw that on his feed where he's been hitting Xbox Fitness pretty hard. So, hey, good on you guys. I mean, it helps, right?
Just on that as well, we've had a bit of a response about the Fitbit stuff. NBA Kirkland actually responded on my blog about how he's also got a Fitbit, and he wants to hook up with us. So we need to kind of work out.
Let's get a Z to Z group. I sent my my big L message out there, and I think I tracked Crandy down. The anonymous Crandy. But I don't know if anyone's agreed to my, linking up at all.
So maybe we need to share a kind of list of names or something like that on a Facebook or something like that.
Track everybody down.
Yeah.
Have the Z to Z Fitbit group.
Well, the Z to Z unfit group, yeah. Except for you.
So, all right, that's my milestone. I hear you're getting close to a milestone.
Yeah, I'm under 10K away from getting the 300K gamer score. And,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of crept up on me. I hadn't really been sort of doing anything particularly special to get to it, but it's been creeping up. And now that I've got under 10K, I'm kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to do for my 300K achievement? Because I'm not sure if you know, but for my 100K, I did the achievement for getting 100,000 kills in Dead Rising 2 on Xbox 360 and finish the game. And for my 200K, I did the same achievement, but on the PC version, also finishing the game. So I've kind of got a theme going there.
Gotcha.
So I've got to work out something that's kind of in a similar kind of vein. I was considering doing Dead Rising 3, but the equivalent achievement in that is Left for 100,004, which is kind of a nod back to Left 4 Dead, of course.
Right.
But I feel like given it's got a 4 in it, I probably want to save that for my 400K. So for the 300K, okay. I'm not too sure at this stage. I've got a few ideas though, but yeah, I'll have to do a bit more research. And if listeners have got any suggestions as well, I'm happy to hear them. But yeah, something around the 3, like something that means something regarding 3s or 300s or triples or anything like that would be good suggestions.
Oh, you mean you're not going to complete the game 3s?
Yeah, if I had, I would, except that would probably stop me scoring for the next 6 months whilst I work on that one.
Have you, so that game, right, like I can get I think the best I've gotten was the 701 or the 3001 or whatever. I don't remember where I peaked out. There's no way, I don't know how anyone can legitimately get the highest one, but have you ever used those solvers that they have on websites and stuff?
No, I haven't actually.
So it's pretty much set up like a text array, and you type in all the numbers as it is, and then like what the new number is, and it'll do like a quick solver and run through a set of scenarios and give you your best option for, where to move. And so you can do this all the way from the beginning, and have it punch out kind of, these are the steps you should take. Our computer has kind of predicted based on the rate at which other tiles come in and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. This is probably the highest chance for success. Now, granted, you can still fail, right? If all of a sudden, the computer's thinking you got a 12 coming and it's a 48, you're like, well, there goes that. And so the computer has to really think about it. And
yeah.
So I had done this for a little bit. Oh, my God, it takes so long to do all the inputs. You got to do what changed, what moved, all this. And, it takes forever. And then once you get to the more complex numbers that are in there, the system just starts chugging. So I always just lose patience to finish it off, to be like, okay, I'm just going to do this by myself. I think I can figure it out. And I always fail, of course. But there are solvers out there if you're really interested in 3s, but it's not going to, it's not a smoking gun. I mean, it's not going to be like you're guaranteed the achievement, but it certainly will take the edge off of trying to figure out how to do it. Now, that doesn't help you get 3-lock, 6-lock, or 12-lock, but there are some guides on TA on how to do that as well. That's a tough game. Super fun, but tough.
And, nice uneven achievement values, too, for all those people who hate those things.
Yep, that'll goof you up.
Yeah, I might look into that, actually. I've also got a couple of friends at work who are Threes fanatics, and they're actually really good at the game, so they might be able to help me out with that one, too.
Oh, sure.
Although, that's also considered one of those frowned-on things, getting somebody else to play your games for you, but,
Oh, my God. I had considered asking for help on the Hexic thing. Trying to set up that master grid, because I had done like 2 rows of it, and I was just like, oh, this is so hard, and then I moved one, and it just collapsed, and I'm like, oh, done, forget this.
I think I must have broken, when I was setting that up to get that achievement, I must have built the master grid probably to the 4th row, at least 3 times, and they managed to destroy pretty much all of it.
Just terrible.
Yeah, so it took me took me about 8 or 9 goes to get through and actually finally get the master grid done without busting it up halfway through.
Oh my God, I know, right? It's so disheartening too. I just spent an hour and a half on this.
It's pretty satisfying when you get it, though.
I bet. Hey, so we had this contest going that has finally wrapped up, and we got some winners here.
We do, yes. So it was for Beat the Beat, a couple of codes for the Steam game, which we reviewed in Shovelware Cemetery 2 shows ago. Maybe it might have been 3 now. Yes, so the codes, we went up on Gleam, and that was all done. And the winners are Dave Soto Jr., otherwise known as, do you want to say this one?
Doughboy!
And Johnny Zarpentine, a regular retweeter for us. JZarp43, thank you both for entering, and congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for getting on there with us. That's fantastic. There's my fantastic again, so you guys can start drinking.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just can't help myself. Hey, so the Ultimate Head-to-Head Challenge is still underway. We're in week 2. Of course, when this comes out, it'll be into week 3. So congratulations on the 400-some people who will continue into week 3. The Z2Z hosts, not so much. We did not make it out of week 1. I put up a decent fight, lost 17-11, although it was like 12-11. And but the writing was on the wall that I could not get the ones he did, and the ones he left open were easy pickings. So congrats there. I mentioned that on the last show. Man, that was super fun, though. This was a fun contest. Yeah,
a lot of fun. And certainly, I hope there's some sort of ongoing thing or a casual kind of concept in the future. I know there's a lot of chatter about that. There's certainly slight wish list items for that too. But in my case, I certainly went down with a fight, and it pretty much came right down to the wire. I actually had 3 achievements queued up ready to go, but I was kind of running out of time, and the way the time zones for the contest work for me is that I go to bed, then I go to work, and I get home and I have about an hour before the cutoff. So if there's been any progress made by my opponent in that time, then I've really got no time to respond. So it was pretty close. I think it ended up at 16-12, but I actually had 3 achievements ready to pop. But even if I had have equalized, he would have won on TA. So congratulations, Trombone Guy. It was a good fight. Sure. He definitely put in the time, and he got one in GTA 5, which I had no hope of getting, and that was basically the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's tough when that happens, and you see it, and you're like, oh, man, I can't do that one. I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
So, I agree, and back to your earlier comments about having other competitions like this set up, take a look at the site wish lists. There's some ongoing UHH threads out there, and even if they're not in that type of a vein, just the fact that you get upvotes on a concept of this, right? That you raise your hand and show, TA that we like this idea. Like, we want some sort of casual thing. We want something in this vein, and I don't know how it's going to flesh out, but, use your votes and get that moving, because that'll help draw attention to it.
For sure. Yeah, the one thing that I think will happen is that the competition will likely repeat after the Bean Dive this year. Just as a kind of given the focus of this particular contest, the UHH, is that it seems to get a lot of people going into their backlog, which was kind of the aim, I guess.
Right.
Certainly, doing it as a post Bean Dive event will be timely, I think. So, I think that's almost certainly going to happen if we can get a kind of casual thing going, because what I would really like to do is to be able to say, hey, Freem, I'm going to challenge you this week to 20 random achievements from our shared pool, and you accept that, and we start.
Yeah,
I think that'd be great, and you can just do that whenever you like. And if you don't want to, you just say no. And it doesn't have to be an ongoing thing. So there's not that kind of ongoing pressure to stay in a contest and that sort of thing.
Right.
The same with the league. So I've sort of come around. There's been a bit of discussion about maybe running it as a continuous league type thing, but I am coming around to the opinion that's been expressed by a number of people that might actually be too heavy, as in, it's a lot of work to try and stay in one of these competitions, and if you have to do it every week, week in, week out, then people are going to get fatigued by that, and the competition won't be as popular. So I can certainly see that. I think maybe just a more casual one-on-one kind of thing might be the way to go, just to keep it kind of going. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you, our listeners, are fans of tinkering in your backlog or having a directed way to go, the random to-do list. So Facial LaFleur has been running it the last 3 years over at the Achievement Hounds forums, and we've reached out to him, and the Z2Z podcast is going to pick up the mantle on that. Now, we don't 100% know how or when it's going to start, but I know Terrigan and I have both expressed interest in putting something together this year. So The current contest ends in early April. So the earliest we would even consider would be like May 1st, I think. But again, we have to work out the details and all that stuff. But keep your eyes and ears open for anything on our feeds and whatnot about getting into where and when that's going to happen. But the Great Random To-Do List, it will come back. In some iteration.
I'm wondering actually if it might be worth delaying that to again after the Bean Dive, just because it seems to fit. That said, if our plans for it go ahead, that may be moot anyway. So anyway, we can discuss that, and maybe if we get some ideas from listeners, any response or any feedback you've got on that would be great.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. I love contests and running them and hosting them and all that stuff. It is so much fun. With our interview this week, I'd mentioned it in the top of the show. We've got our interview with Smirnov. That'll be later in this episode. But I was looking up some of the stats for him, and you've done the same too. I did not realize that there was a leaderboard, a site leaderboard for max possible completion percentage. And I looked at this, and what it is it shows you of all possible achievements on the planet, every possible achievement in every possible game, how many you've unlocked. And so I personally have unlocked 5.2% of all of the achievements in the world. And looking at the number one, Stallion, number two, Smirnov, Stallion has unlocked 50%, just over 50%. So he has unlocked half of the possible achievements on the planet. Smirnov, just over 48% of all possible achievements. That is obscene. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, like, what, Halo Master Chief has like 300, 450? What is it up to now?
Yeah,
there's so many achievements out there.
Yeah, and all the rare replay ones, and and so many games coming out now with bucket loads of achievements. Killer Instinct, rare replay,
right?
It's just crazy.
It's just Project Spark, 150.
Yeah.
I just Orange Box back in the day with the 99. I mean, so many achievements. It blew me away when I did that. But what we should talk about is the achievements that we've earned this week. So Terrigan, why don't you get started? What have you done this week?
At the start of the week, we hadn't quite finished off the UHH yet, so I was actually playing a lot of Forza Motorsport 5, as I think I predicted in the previous show, working on the golds, getting gold races, and that wasn't too hard, just took a lot of time. I actually got right up to the edge of unlocking that, so essentially I preloaded it because I was trying to play a little bit of a sort of a surprise game and maybe hopefully surprise my opponent by unlocking them at the last minute. Which wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Right.
South Park, Stick of Truth. I played through. There was one achievement in there. It was not too far into the game, but you did need to kind of do a bit of level grinding. So I basically spent probably a good 2 hours basically entering a store, leaving a store, fighting a battle, getting some XP, entering a store, leaving a store, fighting a battle, getting some XP, which is not exactly fun, but I got to the edge of unlocking that one too. I had a bit of a start at Rainbow Six Vegas. If I had been able to do Rainbow Six Vegas 2, I might have still been in a chance to get through the week, but unfortunately the achievement I needed was for completing Chapter 2. And it doesn't unlock if you just complete the last part of Chapter 2, which is unfortunate because I did that in co-op with Grandy, but you have to go through every single part of that, and that was basically what killed my chances. And I also picked up Gears of War as well, just to see how quickly I could get through some of that, because that was another one on my UHH list, but I sort of realised yet again why I don't really like Gears of War. So once I got knocked out of the UHH, I basically went on a bit of a kick on extremely rare games, and I finished off Memories Off Yubikiri no Kyoku, which is a Japanese visual novel, but this is actually the Chinese language version of it, which is extremely rare.
Nice.
I just received that back from Sasha Morning, as I think I mentioned last episode. And
good pronunciation too.
Oh, thank you. So I received that back, and I thought I better just finish this off, and probably end up being sold off at some point or another. But I've got a couple of other people who want to borrow it, so we'll see how it goes. And then I managed to get hold of the Korean versions of the two Dead Rising 2 XBLA titles. So Dead Rising 2 Case Zero and Dead Rising 2 Case West. They had a Korean stack, which is extremely difficult to get a hold of. So I got hold of those and finished those off. They're actually both pretty quick completions. So I was pretty happy about that because that kind of completes my Dead Rising 2 set now. I've got every single game in the Dead Rising 2 on PC and on Xbox completed. And I have a trade in progress. I'm trading with my Korean copy, another rare title of Wally, which is based on the movie, of course.
Right.
I'm trading that for a copy of Carnival Games Monkey See, Monkey Do, the Chinese language version of that. So, but of course, we both agreed that we need to finish that title first before we hand them over. So I started working on that as part of that agreement. I also played a couple other things. Went back to Tachyon Project, which is a sort of a twin-stick shooter. It's not particularly difficult. As far as twin-stick shooters go, I don't think it's anywhere in it's not in the same league as, say, Geometry Wars or something like that for difficulty. But and it's got a pretty high completion rate as well, so its TA is pretty low. So that might be one to pick up. I might do that for a boot camp at some point after I complete it. And besides that, I basically played a lot of Minecraft because I kind of didn't really feel like doing anything particularly hard working. So I've basically been playing Minecraft not for the achievements, and that's basically been my week.
I'm kind of the same way this week. So I mean, I finished off the birthday tag challenge this week. So I had 5 games left to do. Nicktoons MLB, Injustice, Gods Among Us, The Escapists.
Just for the benefit of listeners who don't know what the birthday challenge is, do you want to just kind of recap that?
Yeah. So it's over at the Achievement Hounds forums where you. So this month is Nick Hawkeye is his gamer tag. He has a birthday in the month of March, and so his gamer tag is nominated, and what you do is unlock an achievement in a game that begins with that letter. So the N in Nick Hawkeye was Nicktoons MLB. The I for Injustice: Gods Among Us.
Yep.
I also did Yaba Ninja Gaiden Z for the Y, and then the 2 E's, Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, and The Escapists. I just found a quick achievement, got one, and left it there. So nothing special in that. I did spend a good amount of time this week trying in earnest for my goal this month of completing Assassin's Creed Revelations. I did most of the collectibles. I'm still just in cleanup mode on that one. I got to do the 100% sync and all the sequences. I still have to level up in multiplayer, so that's not happening for a goal. I kind of was like, this isn't gonna pan out, and I'm quickly losing interest in that. But I will probably have to pick it up again and just give it another shot. That multiplayer stuff just really bothers me. And knowing that I have to do that DLC with the first-person mode, I'm just not looking forward to that. And then there's I don't want to spend money on the multiplayer DLC. So I'm really torn on what I want to do with that game. But there was some fun Destiny news this week about what their next update's going to be in April. And that kind of got me on a Destiny kick again. So for anyone that cares, the new news, they're going to refurbish the Prison of Elders, add some new PvE content to the end of the game, some increase the light level, stuff like that. There's plenty of places you can find that information. I'm not going to rehash it here. But knowing that was coming up, I'm thinking, there's probably not going to be achievements. I'm almost certain there won't be. But I did want to get my Warlock up and complete the base game of Destiny at least, and then get the Warlock subclass going before I, miss out on going back to that easy stuff. Because then once the new stuff comes out, I'm going to want to play with my main character and go and do all the new content. And so I'm kind of at the point now where my Warlock's in pretty good shape, and I spent a lot of time with my Hunter. I've been trying to go back into the raids and do some of that stuff to gear up so I'm ready for the new content in sometime in April. And I've been going to try. I don't even have to touch a Malice yet. So there's an achievement tied to that one. So I've been on a calcified fragment hunt for the past 2 days, which is it's okay. It's fun, but they're not that easy to find, and there's 6 of them inside the raid, and it's like, well, I need a 6-man fire team to go in there, and I got to hold everybody up, and I've only done the raid 3 times, and so I don't remember the mechanics very well, and so there's just so much hand holding, and it's a lot of the raid is super fun, but it's just such a hard barrier to entry for that.
Yeah.
But I really I love the shooting mechanics. It's just great. So.
It's with the raid, it's not one of those ones that you can kind of enter solo in the first couple of little bits and get something out of it. I remember the Crota run. You could actually enter that one solo, get to the first chest, and get a little bit out of it. But not like that.
Nope. I think you gotta boot in with 6. I guess I don't know if you technically can get into it with a 1-man, but because you can't open the door. You need at least, well, even if you had 2, you still wouldn't make it. I mean, the nice thing about that raid is it really involves a lot of teamwork, and which is fun. I mean, it's so much fun when, because I missed every time I jumped in, it was at the War Priest fight. But the door to get in, the totem's door to get into the War Priest, I had never done that before. And so I played it on Friday night, and it was you got three teams of 2, and, so there's 2 men on the left, 2 men in the center, and 2 men on the right. And you have to, rotate out. So when guy on the left is okay, timer's down, shoot the knight. Guy on left moving center, and then the guy in the center has to move up, moving left. Okay, same thing on the other side. Moving right, got to go right. Move in, go in center. And there's so much communication and talking back and forth and coordinating. It's just so much fun, and you got this well-oiled machine going. And then all of a sudden, it's oh no, I went down. Boomer got me. Whatever. And, everyone starts panicking like, oh, crap, how are we going to pick this up? You're going to lose the timer. We got to go. It's super cool.
That was some of the best moments, I think, particularly with Volta Glass was a bit like that. There was a couple of sections where you really had to work as a team and communicate strongly. And that was some of the best moments in Destiny, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. So that's been my recap. Nothing too crazy. But we'll move into our listener feedback. We've asked, had a lot of awesome feedback, as we always do. Our fans and community is just great. We love them. I actually took a trip over to iTunes to take a gander, and we got a whole slew of new reviews.
Really?
I was really excited about this. So the first one, it was back in on March, I think 16th. Yeah, March 16th from Black Buff. And he said, hey, new podcast for all Xbox One owners. If you love achievements, then these three hosts will entertain and inform you to build up your gamer score. I totally look forward to this podcast each week, and keep up the great work, guys. So thanks, Black Buff, for that iTunes review. That was awesome. I super appreciate that. And we had one yesterday and one today. And so yesterday's was from Avenged Against. He said, this is a wonderful achievement podcast. Longer shows, the better. Threw in his suggestion there.
I'll get Nyan Cat prepared then.
There you go. and actually, so I know Tim has another email to us, but he submitted an iTunes review for us. Mitrael B is his handle here, and I love his comment here. This actually made me laugh. This is a great podcast that makes our weird little niche of gamers seem like, well, the weird little niche of gamers. That is a great podcast to listen to. In all seriousness, the recording quality is clear, the information is vast, and the hosts each bring something unique and entertaining to the table. I give it 1,000 gamer score out of 1,000 gamer score. That's
awesome.
Remarkably well written. So thanks, Tim, for that. That was super, super good. And you put a smile on my face.
We actually got an email from Tim as well.
What was his email?
Well, he sent one just first off, I wanted to let you guys know I love everything I've heard from the show so far. I'm new to the achievement world, and after spending 2016 trying to get to 100,000 gamer score after amassing a whopping 46k in my first 7 years on the Xbox scene. Being new to this type of thing, any source of information I can get is much appreciated, and the podcast has been fantastic for me. Also, getting the shout out for my nominated sponsored achievement was cool. Thanks for using my suggestion. So that was great. That was actually our second email as well. So
number two.
Yeah. He also had some follow up there just about the 3/4 home achievement glitch issue. And I actually had a bit of a back and forth with him about that, and I also contacted the developer of 3/4 Home and got a response back from them too. So I might go into that a little bit later, maybe just as a sort of addendum to the Knobs and Discos section. But
makes sense.
Yeah. We'll follow that up later. But so the email from Tim there was nice to hear. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we also, email, fantastic. That's a great way to contact us. We love all the retweets and the shares, likes, everything you guys do to help promote this show. It's so great. And Twitter, obviously, is a wonderful place to communicate with us. Our handle @ZZZEDTOZED. We had a little conversation with Kaiba Chaos. James.
Yeah. So at last show, we sort of mentioned Nyan Cat, and so he had a bit of a laugh about that one. But he asks us, what future guests would you like to get on? And he says he'd like to see interviews with the top leaderboard people, which is, funnily enough, a bit of a coincidence that this show we actually are running one. But he also speaks specifically about the Dauntless, who's kind of one of those quiet achievers, I guess. I think he's number 3 on the leaderboards. And basically asks us if anyone knows him, because he has no friends on TA and is basically pretty quiet there. So now I don't personally, but we can certainly try and reach out and see if we can hook up something with the Dauntless, because I'm sure there are other people who are quite curious about that. But as for future guests we'd like to get on, speaking for myself, basically anybody in Microsoft specifically that deals with the achievement side of things, I would love to get on the show just to kind of pick their brains about how that all works. I wouldn't mind, and I've sort of hinted at this a little bit with Rand, but I wouldn't mind getting Rand Althor on the show at some point.
Yep, that'd be nice.
Yeah, and also Christian Allen. We've sort of had a bit of banter on Twitter with Christian. Christian Allen is Sir Allen, who's one of the developers who was responsible for Graw. It'd be great if we could get him on the show at some point, particularly maybe for the Graw special. So they're the people I'd like to see. What about you, Freem? Have you got any sort of people you want?
Well, so on my friend feed, before I posted this show, I asked if there were any questions, and AHP the 90 said, "When will Phil Spencer be on your podcast?" Yeah, he's on my list. Oh my, I would just love to meet the dude, because every time I hear him on Podcast Unlocked, or I watch him on, stage at E3 or whatever, or any other interviews he's done, he just gets it. Like, I just enjoy listening to him. And I love the fact that he likes it. He's all about achievements. He's all about Xbox. He's all about games.
He plays games too.
And he plays games.
Yeah, he's into it.
It's just great. And so I would love to have an opportunity to talk to him. I totally am on board with anyone from Xbox that you mentioned that, deals with achievements. Mike Ybarra, even Major Nelson, Aaron Greenberg. Those guys are all very marketing pieces. But even like the dude who decided, came up with the first point values for his achievements, right? Even if it's not in Microsoft, but whoever did the first game and said, yeah, Hexic, this is going to be a 5-pointer, and like why that came about.
Absolutely.
That just sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I guess if anybody happens to know Vince Curley, he'd be someone I'd really like to talk to. Yeah. Vince Curley wrote a blog quite a while ago on achievements and the achievement system, and was instrumental in the initial sort of creation of that process and the achievement sound. So, yeah, I'm trying to find a contact for him, but that's been difficult.
Sure. So I'm going to plug another show here that I've really enjoyed. If you haven't listened to it, I totally recommend you do, called IGN Unfiltered. And it's Ryan McCaffrey, the host of Podcast Unlocked. You guys are probably familiar with him at IGN. He has he's got 4 episodes out right now, but it's an in-depth interview with, actually the 5th one might be coming out soon. Anyway, an in-depth interview with some gaming personality, and he just like really goes deep in on whatever their claim to fame is. And so he just had the creator of Xbox Live Arcade on back in for the February show.
Wow.
And it was just awesome. It was so fascinating, and he was so passionate about his creation and just the way that the system was set up, and what kind of games to get on there, and actually like the downfall of it, and how it's unfortunate where the current state of Xbox Live Arcade is. But it was such a good listen. It was super cool. So if you they're like an hour and a half interviews, but it's once a month. I mean, not a huge commitment, and you're only 4 back. But everyone so far has been super interesting. So yeah, I totally appreciate that, and those are awesome, interesting people to listen to. I'd love to have an opportunity. I just like interviews. I think they're great. I talk to people all the time, and even if I'm in a party with somebody, just talking about whatever, like that could be fascinating if you really spend time to listen and go in depth on their what makes them tick. You can always find gems. People live interesting lives typically.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So from Twitter, McLovin Legend, our number, I don't know what fan, said, another great episode. This was after episode 14. GG to Crandy regarding the Graw achievement, because Crandy, of course, unlocked solo champion previous to last episode. And he also basically said, damn you, 22TMA, for having Nyan Cat stuck in my head all day. And that would be due to the outro from the last episode. So that exactly as planned.
Right? So diabolical.
NBA Kirkland, this is actually for you, Freem.
Yeah, I saw this one, and I had already responded to him. So, we got the Twitter account is set up. So whether or not I play on Z2Z or Freemhole, we'll figure that out. Now I got to pick a date, and so I think it's going to have to be a Saturday. Makes the most sense, and it'll be like at 10 p.m. on Saturday. So I need to just look into my schedule. I will have an announcement next show. So April 1st recording for whatever the first week in April is. It'll probably be like the third week in April. I got to just see what my out-of-town schedule looks like. And so, make sure I can sit and record, and you guys can all watch the pain in my my voice when I try to play Dark Souls. I have officially downloaded it on the Xbox One now, so it's ready to go. I was almost tempted to just start it and like kind of see, but I was like, no, don't. Maybe I'll start it enough just to get through. Like, I don't even want to bean dive it. Like, I want it to be. Does it take a long time to start up?
I've no idea. I don't think.
I wonder, because I don't want to be like, hey, you guys can watch me navigate menu screens for 15 minutes. Like, that sounds dumb. But that might be a good opportunity to get the Twitch thing going. But there'll be an announcement next episode as to when Freem takes on Dark Souls, first time virgin run, and it should be embarrassing. I bet. Anyone who watched my Volgar the Viking, it was vulgar to watch. I'll tell you that much.
That should be fun.
So yeah, that'll be a good inaugural Twitch run.
All right.
If we don't do anything on Twitch earlier, but that'll be a scheduled broadcast. Maybe we can get a crew in there talking over. You guys could shoutcast my game.
Yeah, we'll give you tips.
Tips. Right. Run in there and keep your sword down and just hit him with your head.
Yeah. Charge. Yep.
I got a flurry of activity on my friend feed. I just want to touch on a couple things here, because you've also got a blog post entry from Facial LaFleur, right?
Yes, yeah. That was just came in just before the show. It was just regarding the possibility of you getting a Windows Phone, Freem, and he basically agrees that not to bother. Unless you're just throwing away cash, it's not really worth bothering. There are a few sort of gems like Hitman Go, Lines, Brightwood Mini, Equalicious, etc. But most games are a terrible grind fest, and at this point, Game Troopers are basically single-handedly keeping that particular side of things alive on Windows Phone.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably not worth the effort unless you don't care about completions and have money to waste.
Yeah,
which I echo. So.
I do and do not have any of those things. And so, nope, not happening. I mean, I still play those games on my Android. Like, I just finished Lara Croft Go, and, if Hitman Go goes on sale, I'll buy it. It's just, it sucks that there's no achievements to it, but it is what it is. So, Facial also posted on my friend feed saying, you need not to post last week's show 2 days before you record a new one. Doesn't leave a lot of time for us to listen and comment. That's true. And we get that. It's these long shows, they're tough. And so, we're trying to streamline this. Again, it's a 3-man job, so, we're doing what we can to facilitate. But, the thing is all of these topics, they don't have to be related to last show. That's the beauty of it, is we are free-form to talk about whatever's going on in the world. If there's a particularly interesting news item to get into, we'd love to talk about it on our show here, and we kind of want to know what you guys want to hear about. Because the reason we don't do news particularly is because everybody else does news. Yeah. We want to focus on achievements, but if something really tickles your fancy, I do want to talk about Psionic saying they cracked the code for getting Xboxes and PlayStations to work together. I think that's fascinating. I'd like to have a little conversation about that. It might not be achievement related. Maybe it will. We try to bring it back to achievements, of course. But, things like that might get glossed over if, nobody flags them as, hey, this is important. And, we are just interested in what you guys might have to think about it. As educated as we can be, we do our best. But anything to add to that, Urban?
No, just as I think I'm just echoing comments from last episode, which is basically we try and do content that is timeless. So things like news will get stale pretty quickly, and that's another reason that we try and avoid focusing on that too much, and also everywhere else does it.
Right.
So not everywhere else does achievements or focuses on achievements, and that's sort of what our niche is, niche or whatever.
So speaking of achievements, X Towers asks the question: have you ever bought DLC that doesn't have achievements? Why would you do that? What's wrong with you? Are you sick?
Yes, I have, and it was for Batman Arkham City, and I bought a bunch of the extra costumes for Batman that have absolutely zero gameplay changing relevance whatsoever. I just happen to really like the Batman games and Batman as a character. So yes, I have. I've also bought a texture map or two for Minecraft. A game, not achievement related, but just because I happen to particularly like the game.
Sure. I think that, the closest thing I come to is season passes that have DLC content with non-achievement DLC in it.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a scenario where I've spent money on a DLC that doesn't have achievements. Even, I buy physical copies of, I kind of try to get if I can, they have those limited edition pack-ins, right? So you might get a skin, or you might get something thrown in there as part of your pre-order or whatever bonus, But again, I'm actually still buying those on the cheap, so I'm not actually going out of my way to spend money on non-achievement related DLC. But that being said, my phone's a great example. If any, and I haven't spent much money on anything on my phone, but anything I spent on my phone is non-achievement related. So I did buy Lara Croft Go for $2 or something. But that's just a fun game. So I'm okay giving Square a little bit of scratch. My $2 isn't gonna, buy the private jet, but enough of me buying, enough people buy $2 worth of content, then there you go. It adds up over time.
For sure. Yeah.
So I also got Handy Darkness chips in. He says, "Hey, I'm 2 episodes behind. Damn it! I'll catch up soon after my wife gets out of the hospital." Didn't they just have a baby? That's why she's in the hospital?
Must be.
I hope that's why she's in the hospital. Boy, it'd be bad if it was otherwise. So what are your thoughts on the lack of movie tie-in games regarding the now expanding DC and Marvel cinematic universes? We've got, now Captain America Civil War is coming out, Batman versus Superman. These movies are just, back in the day, would have been rife with video game ripoffs. Just a quick cash in on the concept here, and I think we've talked about that before. That well has dried up.
It's interesting, isn't it? I kind of wonder if, particularly with the Marvel studios, I wonder if they actually don't want to release a bad quality product. I know that Marvel in particular, when they sort of took over and did their own studios, they're focusing on building their universe in movies, and they want that to be a good, solid universe. And so you can sort of see that in every one of their movies that they make, that they're really thinking about how they all fit together. And I kind of wonder if putting a throwaway game into that might not really work for their goal. And so maybe that's why they haven't authorized it, or they just haven't had a game company pitch it. I also wonder if a company that did a lot of those kind of throwaway games happened to be THQ back in the day, and they've, of course, gone defunct. So, I just wonder if the market's not there, whether they just realize that it's not worth putting the money in for the return. I don't know.
I'm thinking it's mostly that, right? Because there's a lot more money in licensing that property, and then the shorter development times, and you can't release before the movie, might spoil the movie, that you're just really hamstrung by the movie, that you feel rushed and as thin of a budget as you can, because you're already spending so much on the license. Yeah,
and the other side of that too is that if the movie tanks, then the game pretty much automatically tanks.
Right.
And I can imagine, if they'd spent, a lot of money building up a Batman versus Superman game, for example, and they just released it now, and the movie's come out and it's not getting great reviews, that spells bad things for the game. For a game that's already going to have a few downvotes anyway, simply because it's a movie game.
Right. And there's only been, to my knowledge, maybe two. Certainly one with Rocksteady in the Batman series. They have embodied Batman like you wouldn't believe in that particular set of games. And to a lesser extent, I think they did an okay job with the Deadpool game. And he's still kind of garbage, but like the character is the character's not garbage, but he's very irreverent, and so it was over the top, and now that it wasn't a movie tie-in game, but it was.
That's the thing, that they are standalone games based upon characters within those universes, and that's why they work. And I mean, Deadpool, I think, has actually gotten generally pretty good reviews from everybody I've heard playing it. So
the movie, the game,
yeah. So
it's adequate. I mean, it's nothing special.
I guess
Spider-Man was the same way, right? Beanox did that one. Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Little open world swinging around.
Yeah.
They're okay, but there's just not a lot.
They're the only ones I can sort of. I'm not really sure you can count these, but the Lego games, the Lego Avengers movie has a Lego. It's just based on the Avengers movie, so there are movie tie-ins, but the successful ones seem to be Lego games these days.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the final tirade on my friend feed, until I hit refresh, and then maybe there'll be a longer tirade here, comes from Big L. That guy, friend of the show. He actually says, "Man, I have a lot of UHH thoughts. I'll be brief. So don't do
I'll be brief.
more than 2 contests a year." So he's happy with keeping it 2 contests, and I can see that standpoint of like making it an event, like the intensity over that last week when it was just like, you're out if you don't perform this week. That's intense. Like that was a nice race. So I get that. The other one, he says that the rest of the year needs to be dedicated to playing our games proper. He says, look at my list, all the AAA games sitting here, all sad. And now they're getting some love. Ironically, up against Bean Potter this week, him introducing bean diving to this site could have indirectly led to this contest. And it did and it didn't, right? Because I had done a bean dive before, and it was because I was just sick of having that pile of games like unplayed. I mean, in the cellophane.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
do what the Crandy did.
Better to say that Bean Potter did something in response to a problem that many of us have, which is that we have a lot of games in our backlogs. The UHH is also targeted at the games that we have in our backlogs, and bean diving is certainly connected to that.
Right.
I don't know that you could say that Bean Potter was directly responsible for it, but certainly as part of the whole process.
Absolutely. But yes, the other thing then in that regards is, I'm going to disagree with you, Big L, because not that I want more than 1 a year. I'm fine with that. But his rest of the year dedicated to playing games proper, there's no right way to play video games. I mean, we've mentioned this on the show before, right? I, at times, like to really dive in, focus, and be like, when I get to BioShock, it's like, you know what? I should just sit down, focus, play that thing straight through because it's a great story and I shouldn't have any interruptions. That's well and good, but that's going to take me 30 hours. So that's 2 weeks straight of my time that I can, of gaming time that I can devote. I like to jump around. I like to do other things. Maybe I'm not in a first-person scary, suspense type game. Maybe I want an arcade title. Maybe I want to play a beat 'em up or something. So I kind of jump around a little bit. And you know what's super fun? It's like the birthday tag contest where I look at, I've got maybe 10 different games. So next month is J Striker 416. And so, okay, what's my J? Well, I'm going to do Jetpack Refueled. What's my E? Well, I'm going to go back into the Escapists and play a little bit more of that.
Did you end up finishing Enslaved, by the way?
No, I'm saving those. Like, okay. I'm chipping away one at a time. Like, and I've got another one lined up, and it's Enslaved for another, for a quick one for J Striker. Actually, he's got He's got one E in there. Rayman. Like, I'm going to take off another one of that. But next month, I do plan on completing. I'm going for 6 completions next month. And 6 of those are games that are in his birthday tag. And so say, yeah, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to finish SpongeBob because there's an S, and I got 1 stupid achievement left. Got to finish that. A K. I got 1 Connect Fun Labs left. There it is. The K for J Striker. And having like just fun little goals like that helps give me a focus as to, because I have so many games. I mean, especially now that Terrigan has opened up his friendship to let me play some of his games. Now I've got a list of what I think I just calculated it, 65 games that are over a 30% completion percentage. Like, they're all easy games. Like, I just don't have time to sit down and do it. And yeah, it might be a 4 to 6 hour completion, but that's 2 nights for me. So it's like, oh, am I going to burn this now? When am I going to do this? So if I have an opportunity, like, because UHH says, hey, you know what? Why don't you go and revisit Numa Breath of Life? You bet. It's on my games collection. I'm going to go play it. Or 3/4 Home. You've heard some things about that. Not super fun, maybe a little glitchy, but hey, it's on your UHH list, or it's on your random to-do list, or it's on birthday tag, or, whatever. It's got an achievement that fits your weekly achievement scavenger hunt. Just random little things to help draw my attention to a title that maybe I'll just overlook because it's like, given the choice, it's like, well, I'll just sit and grind out Destiny some more. That's not getting me any achievements. That's just a terrible idea.
Yeah, I find that as well. In the absence of some kind of motivation, I tend to go back to the things that I'm generally familiar with that I will want to do normally. So if there was no achievements and nothing I needed to do during a week, I would probably just end up sitting there playing Minecraft all week. Not every week, but I've just been in that kind of mood where I don't really want to think too hard about sort of what I'm doing, and I'm not sure that I want to start anything particularly new or different. And that's, I think, there's just a little bit of sort of gaming apathy kind of sets in, and you just go for the things that you're familiar with or the games that you know that you like, rather than looking at your humongous backlog, like in my case, and going, hey, I should really pick up this game and do that. If I don't sort of have some kind of motivation to do that, such as a contest or UHH or a random to-do list or something along those lines, the tendency is to just go with what you know rather than what you don't know. And that's why I think contests like this are good.
Agreed. And finally, Big L did just chime in, because I hit refresh, chime in with one final comment. He wants to answer the DLC question that X-Towers posed. Said he did buy DLC without achievements, and it was for him it was a pack for N+. There was some co-op levels that, and he had a group of 4 buddies at the time who they just really wanted to play N+. He must love brutal. Isn't that one of those brutal platformers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not terribly familiar with it. I think it's on my backlog.
Old school.
Yeah.
You know what else on my friend feed that I see here? Cursed Souls just completed Roblox. So good on you for getting your 20 days.
For not pulling a frame.
All right, I think he did though.
Okay.
So not repeating a frame.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Oh, there it was again. Drink. All right. So moving into our feature content, we have a special interview set up. Terrigan, why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, I reached out to Smirnov, who is a fairly fairly well-known and highly ranked person in the Gamerscore world. I reached out to him and actually made this interview back in late January of this year, so we've been sitting on it for a little while. So Smirnov is pretty famous for being, the number 2 in the world for Gamerscore, and has actually recently taken number 2 in the True Achievement Score, number 1 in the True Achievement Score as well, overtaking Stallion there. He's basically been keeping Stallion honest, I would say.
Right.
It's basically been between those two for the top 2 of the leaderboards for a very long time now. But yeah, Smirnov is a great guy. I've spoken to him before, and we sat down and had an interview in January. Just some other stats on Smirnov. He's got over 50,000 achievements unlocked. That's like 52,686 achievements at the time of recording, which is just phenomenal. And as you were saying during the the intro there. That's like 48% of all possible achievements that are available, which is
so many.
Yeah, it's an incredible figure. I mean, just for comparison, I think I'm sitting on just over 10,000 or something like that, and it's a huge number.
I'm at 5,600. My goal is to hit 10,000 at some point.
Yeah, that's you'll probably get that around about your 200, a bit over 200k, I think, is where I hit mine. So, he's also played, Smirnov has also played 2,147 games and has completed 1,415 of them, which is the number one in the world as far as we know for games completed. It's interesting, that number, though, the 2,147 games played, that's still 1,050 games short of the number one on TA, which is MattDB87 at 3,192 games played, which is just an incredible amount of games played.
It is. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So there's still over 1,000 games that Smirnov can sort of reach into, and of course there are more games coming out every day. So. Now he actually, Smirnov overtook Stallion for TA, for the second time, I think. This has happened before, and Stallion reclaimed that, but, it's happened again earlier this month. But I sort of understand that, recently, Stallion's actually had a death in the family. So, I just wanted to say, that, Z would like to express our condolences, to Ray, Stallion, and to his family, and wish him all the best, of course, during that hard time. But anyway, let's move into the interview. Here's Smirnov. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
That's good. So, let's just get to know you a little bit. When you're not gaming, what do you do with yourself?
Well, I mean, the biggest part of my day is taken up with work, obviously. I do, probably the easiest answer is computer stuff. Anything getting more technical into that puts people to sleep. But I do work from home doing computer stuff, so remotely connecting to client sites and that kind of stuff during the day.
Okay.
I am married. I have a daughter who's a teenager going into high school, and I have 2 dogs. So there is a family there. There's a work-life balance, and there is all that kind of good stuff in the mix.
So I suppose working from home probably makes the gaming side of things a little bit more convenient.
It does at times. I mean, it also means you're never out of work. So, there's times where you're being interrupted, or, you might want to be doing something and you can't because you have to give work that priority.
Yeah.
But then again, you could also be on a 2-hour conference call where you have to speak for 30 seconds of it, and then the rest of the time you can just sit there and mute. So there's definitely some benefits, but you just gotta make, as long as your priorities are in place, it's not that big a deal.
All right. So how did you sort of get into gaming? What sort of began? What's your gaming origin story, so to speak?
Well, I mean, it goes back to, I'm sure as most people being a kid. Of course, unlike most kids playing on Xbox Live these days, for me, it was more the Atari 2600, the Intellivision. Had an Atari 800, had an Atari ST.
All the classics, yeah.
Yeah, very heavy on the Atari side.
Yep.
And then PC gaming, obviously. Spent a lot of time on that. The old PlayStation 2, and then the Xbox, the old gen. It wasn't really until the 360, obviously, where things kind of took a different turn. But yeah.
Sure, yeah, they certainly took a turn. So when you began on the 360, obviously you had to set up a gamer tag. Now I've read the story of your gamer tag, but if maybe you could go through that a little bit for us and for my listeners, that would be great.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, the most people tend to assume that it's vodka related. It's not. Kind of works out that way phonetically, so it was kind of nice that at least it has a kind of meaning if you're to look at it without knowing the background. But
yeah.
When I first started on the old Xbox, when Live first came out, my friend said, "Hey, this system's great, and every month you can create a new tag, and you get another month for free every time you do it on a console." What he neglected to say was obviously that you would lose all your progress on your games or anything along those lines if you were to take that approach.
Yep.
But anyways, it was November at the time, and my first initials are SMR. So SMR NOV, there would have been an SMR DEC had I continued with the trend.
Yep. So what started off the whole achievement addiction?
I think for me, the idea that, I was playing a game and these things started popping, I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Might as well do a little looking at them, and you could, pop in the guide and see what other ones are out there. And it kind of gave me a path to saying when a game was completed or when it was done. I mean, anybody who'd played on consoles or PCs before, it was always this threshold to kind of set for yourself. Well, I finished on it easy and I played through the story. Is it done?
Yeah.
gotten all the medals that I could get or all the highest ranks.
Yeah.
At what point is the game done? And to me, the achievements kind of give me that sense of the game is done.
What was sort of the first achievement that you kind of popped? What was the beginning of all of that?
Pretty sure it was Hexic.
Yeah. That's a pretty common one.
360 and had it on a hard drive. And actually, that's one I still want to go back and finish.
No, you haven't got that one yet.
I just haven't walked the diamonds. I got there at one point and I was there and the whole thing collapsed and I got frustrated. So I stopped.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But between that and Project Gotham, there was kind of this sense of seeing what was there and kind of maybe making some different choices in order to get those done, and kind of realizing that could be the way to being done with the game.
Now, I've read in the past that you're really big on completions, so you're sort of a completionist. But of course, you've got a very high gamer score. When did it sort of become, or has it ever been more about gamer score than completion, or has it always been about completion? What's sort of your main target there with your gaming?
Yeah, and even within completionists, you're talking about different targets, right? I mean, you have your percentage completionist, you have your base game completion. There's a lot of different wiggle room in there. To me, completion is when all the achievements that can be earned in the game are done. If you go to Xbox.com and it says this game score out of this gamer score and these many achievements out of this many achievements, it's done. So just kind of level setting that. My count is everything that can be done in the game. The gamer score, I would say the only time it's ever been more important is when I'm doing competitions, which I'm pseudo-retired from at this point, just because it takes a toll. Yeah. Either a toll of a year of low scoring in order to drop it all at the end of the competition, or just a toll on the, I've actually taken days off work in order to do some of the things I've had to do, or toll on the family, or, okay, I'm going to be not around for a bit. So, but again, the completions were always it. And again, not even a percentage perspective for me either. I mean, I will consider a game complete if I've earned all the achievements that are obtainable. I'm not going to let that stop me from popping in the game, because one of the things I do is when I've completed it, that's when I trade it in. I mean, I don't maintain this collection of things I've finished.
Right, yeah.
I've been burned once in a while about DLC. I've had to go buy something that I've already bought to go finish the game again.
Yep.
But, at the end of the day, when I feel like when I've done everything that physically can be done, that's when I move it out. And I'm trying to at least be at a point now where what's coming in and what's going out is at least equal, or I'm getting more out than comes in. So, it's kind of a reasonability check on what's there. Now, that doesn't help the fact that I have 10 by 10 closet full of games, but at least if I can keep it from getting bigger or taking up, another part of the house, that'd be great.
Yeah, that actually touches on a later question. In one of your earlier blog posts a while back, you were talking about challenges, and I believe you basically said that you were not going to bother with challenges anymore simply because it was changing that particular dynamic with the way that you work through games.
Yes.
And having to hold on to games for challenges wasn't working for you.
That is still true. I mean, so for me, the challenges, they started as something kind of interesting, primarily in the fact that, there was this concept of something unlocked in the game and rewarding in some cases, less rewarding in others. But it prevented the game from being released. I could never not know when a challenge was going to come. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think challenges have turned out to be as big as they were going to be originally. But at the time, people were, dropping challenges even up to 2018 in advance. If you looked at Connect Sports Rivals or something like that, they just, challenge.
Yeah.
They laid them out ahead of time. And it was slowing down, completing the games as well as, just overall scoring, moving forward on what I'm completing and doing. So, those are pretty much the main reasons I kind of gave up on it. And the rewards just weren't that great, and it doesn't seem like the developer or even the Microsoft support is there anymore. So I think at the end of the day, that was the right choice. Yeah,
no, I agree. All right. Well, let's talk about the 1 million gamer score. You hit that back on the 30th of August 2014, and I think you're only a few months behind Stallion at the time. Do you sort of regret that you didn't make it there before Stallion, or is that sort of a...
No, it was never the goal for me. I know a lot of media or other folks seem to play it up as something that, I was racing towards or something along those lines. But
yeah, I'd even read things where people were claiming that you had some kind of gentleman's agreement with Stallion not to overtake him.
Yeah, no, I can put that to rest. There's no gentleman's agreement in place. However, that being said, I'm neither am I targeting him either. I know Stallion. We've met each other both, online, and we had done competitions, and then more recently E3, we actually got together. And,
yep, I saw the picture.
had some good talks and spent some time there. And again, I think he's a good guy, and I'm not targeting or holding back on him either way. I'm doing my thing, and he's doing his thing, and they're just different things. And there are times where it overlaps to the point that people think something's going on or isn't going on.
Sure,
and that's just. It's a offshoot of something totally unrelated usually. Gamerscore competitions, there have been times when I've been in those and people thought I was doing something that I wasn't. Those types of things happen. But for me, I got my completed games in. I hit that 1,000. At this point, I don't know, 2,000 seems a little excessive for completed games. They go a lot slower than Gamerscore these days. I guess the completions are moving a little more because of some of these indie games and other things that are coming out. But I mean, I still got that backlog of 360 and older games that I want to get done. Games I've started. I'm very eager to get the online in a game done, even if I'm not ready to finish the rest of it, simply because you never know when those servers are going to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of people are like, well, why is your completion percentage so low? Why do you only have a few achievements in some games? And that's because I do try to look at least at what I have and the chance that an achievement might go away. And then I might just drop that achievement and then move on. Or in other cases, I'll start a game, and if it gets to the point where I'm either frustrated or don't want to do it anymore, I'll just switch to something else. I mean, if you ever see how I score, it's like there's, many times where I'll just walk away from something and come back. I think the biggest case was probably Call of Duty 3, like the original one.
Yep.
I had a really bad checkpoint storming the beach in Normandy, and I kept dying every time I logged in. I said, I'm done with this game. I think I shelved it for like a year. Went back to it, just restarted the chapter entirely and got through it, no problem. So, sometimes it pays to walk away.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yourself time.
There's no point getting too frustrated with those things. Yeah. So since hitting the 1 million gamer score, have you sort of felt you've slowed down at all, or is it just you just keeping on going?
No, I don't think I slowed down. I mean, when people ask me about achievements, and again, people I run into or whatever, I say only get into it if you enjoy doing it. So if it feels like a job or something you don't want to be doing, maybe it's not the thing you should do as your hobby. For me, it is. I mean, I like doing it. I don't mind doing it. And I get a sense of completion from doing it. So that's why I do it. Yeah. If it stopped becoming fun, or if it felt like a job, I would probably stop or slow down at that point.
Do you ever feel like it's becoming a bit of a chore? I know there's certainly some achievements out there that are not the most interesting to do.
No, there are definitely achievements that are grindy or just not even interesting. But for me, it's just getting it done. I think if I was more engaged, again, because it's not like a job for me. I mean, I don't get anything out of it. Nobody's giving me stuff, or this isn't my source of income. It's what I do when I want to do something for me. So
yeah,
I think as long as I keep feeling that way, I'll keep doing it. But
all right,
it definitely feels grindy at times. I mean, yeah. For sure, I've spent hundreds of hours on things that make you question your life choices, sure, once in a while, but not so much. That I might be playing another game instead is kind of more the question that I have for myself.
So I guess Quake 4, I think that was your 1,000th completion. That would probably be rank up there as one of those extremely grindy.
Yeah, well, not only that, I think you were alluding to if there are any stacks that I'm dreading, that would probably be one of them. The version of that one is not something I'm looking forward to doing, but I probably will at some point, as long as that one's peer-to-peer. I don't think it's actually server-based, so I should be able to get the rest of it done. I've already got the leaderboard ones done, so if those go down, I think okay. But the matches I should be able to do still. So.
That's good. So what's the next milestone on the horizon? Is there anything you're particularly aiming for?
No, I mean, I guess 1,500 games makes the most sense. I don't think you can really lump games into thousands quite as much, but 1,500 seems like a good number to go for. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it'd be within a year. If depends on what indie games come out, I guess. But
well, they seem to be releasing thick and fast at the moment, so it might not be that far away.
Carrying the platform.
Yeah. All right. Just on competitions, you touched on it earlier. So you said you're on a bit of a sort of a hiatus from competitions. I believe there was a while back I heard that you were actually asked to not join a particular competition. And I believe that was because you sort of won it 2 years in a row or something along those lines. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Well, I mean, there was the one thing is the GTSC. I won the first one. And that was with TJ Ayers, my longtime boosting friend who doesn't play Xbox so much anymore. But and then the next year they said there had to be if you had a certain score, you had to group. You couldn't choose your partner. You had to choose somebody with a lower score to be your partner. Which at that point I kind of felt like I was more or less being said I couldn't do it because I couldn't do it with who I wanted to do it with, kind of thing. And I found that silly because, I mean, the two of us came in with some of the highest gamer score in the competition when it started, which I don't know where everybody thinks that makes it easier for us to score.
I would think that would be a disadvantage, really.
But it was. But it took a lot more planning for me to get through the year and stuff. And a lot of stuff people are doing now when they drop those big scores and do things. I've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
X360A, when their gamer score competitions, I've done those. I've got MVP a few times. I've been on winning teams a few times. So those things are things I've done. Console Heroes. That's where some of the head-to-head type stuff happened, and that's kind of. I think the first time I was on a team on anything with Stallion was I think I got picked up as like a postseason draftee because my team went under, kind of thing, for the final. Anyway, they had it was a very interesting league actually because you had a weekly goal of who you played against, and you had to outdo that team, but you didn't want to outdo them so much you didn't have the score for other teams later on.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, nobody's ever said no, don't do it. But I felt like the second year of the GTSC basically was okay, you can do it, but you have to do it on our terms. And that's kind of when I pulled back a little bit on doing those kind of things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I didn't want to make anybody else feel unwelcome to do it either. But
yeah.
No, it's just, this year and every year since, I've got tons of people asking me to be in their teams. But
I wonder why. I guess the GTAC, of course, has progressed and changed over the years, and I kind of wonder with some of the teams that are out there now, and particularly with like Redemption Denied and the Gankers who won last year, whether or not that particular provision on you might not be there anymore. And is it
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
no. I think after a couple of years they got rid of it entirely, and then they changed the whole team structure. It's definitely evolved as competition, and I had nothing against them for putting it on. I mean, it's their show; they can run it the way they want to run it. I just the way they run it meant I wasn't as interested anymore.
Yeah. Is it something you'd think about coming back to?
I don't know. Like I said, the toll it takes on me. Everybody who asks me always says, well, you don't have to do anything different about what you're doing, right? But I always feel like if I'm going to enter something, I want to take a shot at winning it, which means preparing the achievements, holding back on completions. That means I could be sitting on 50 completions until the end of the year, right? I mean, depending on how it goes. So that's... I'm not sure.
You don't want to half-ass it, so to speak.
No, I don't. I have a hard time half-assing anything in life. But...
are you sort of working on anything particular at the moment, like a particular game or?
Milestone-wise, no. I mean, I've got a couple games that I rotate in, things that have daily achievements, things that like I think Cabela's wrestling. Again, I kind of play each game to the point where, okay, I've had enough. I'll move on to another one for a little bit. Call of Duty, I'm trying to get some of the online done with Krispy Kreme and Duke 007, but that's challenging too. Some of those achievements are pretty tough on the online stuff, and I don't know if my skill's quite high enough, but I'm trying to hang in there. But no, I mean nothing special. I'd like to get Neverwinter complete at least till the next DLC comes out. I've got a few more guild marks to get and one more character to get 2 levels. That one kind of touches on some of my early gaming days of MMO. And it has D&D, and it's got achievements. It's pretty much like that.
The perfect game.
Perfect storm of gaming, yeah. If I wasn't doing achievements, I'd probably play a lot more of that. But,
Are you looking at the Chinese stack of that as well?
I've looked into it. I had some Chinese contacts, because you have to get the box activated in China. Yeah, I thought about getting 4, because then I could have my guild over and help for the guild achievements, and it's still the base 1,000 in that one, right? And then, I think it's got some other difficulty attached that has been in the DLC that's come out.
Yeah,
in the North American one.
Yes. So proudest moment in gaming. Obviously the 1 million gamer score will be up there, but is there anything else?
No, I think it is the one. I mean, the fact that it was kind of a nice perfect storm in that there was the Fan Expo in Canada right as I was kind of approaching that milestone, and the folks at Xbox Canada were really good as far as giving me the stage time to do it there in the booth and everything. That kind of gives it a special place for me. Again, not that it was the thing I was working toward necessarily, but it still has a sense of accomplishment. Sense of thanks too. I mean, a lot of people were there at the booth, which was kind of nice to see, and just the way they handled it was very nice.
All right. What's been the most tedious game completion?
It's probably a tie. I mean, I guess Ghost Recon is tedious, but you can do it yourself for the most part. The first one, but Chrome Hounds Online was probably the biggest time sink as far as actually taking away from my time and my day and my life. just because it was so political as far as getting some of the medals and things like that.
Yeah.
And then, just grinding out the levels and being the person to carry people through. And a lot of that stuff was really, really crazy. And it wasn't something I ever thought I'd get a completion on. It was something I was just, a few of us were getting together and saying, hey, let's just, make a group and kind of get the stuff we can out of it before it goes down or goes away or anything.
Yeah.
And we were moving things in the whole realm so much that people said, no, stop what you're doing and we'll give you what you want. So come do it our way and we'll give you guys the achievements kind of thing. So, but it was so political. You had to know all the right people and have the right people like you enough to give you the achievements.
Yes.
Stuff.
So some of the leaderboard achievements are a bit like that too.
Yeah.
Is there any particular game or achievement that's kind of like your white whale, something that you've always wanted to get but couldn't?
Dante's Inferno. If anybody's really good at that and wants to run through the DLC, I'm trying to get that last achievement in that one, because that would be a completion that I don't know if maybe my skills have improved. I haven't gone back and tried again, but that's definitely one I'd like to get the completion done over that I haven't been able to, and there was definitely a skill issue on that one.
What's your gaming setup like?
Where I do most of my gaming is a desk. So I've got a 30-inch monitor on the wall with Xbox and 360 wired through it. I've got my Surface Book on the desk with me for my gaming stuff, and then my MacBook for my work stuff. So it's all kind of separated, and I don't mingle any of my stuff together. I'm very focused when I'm doing my work. I'm very focused when I'm not. So that's kind of my main thing is I got the 3 monitors and a couple phones on the desk and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As my main setup, which is not interesting. I do have a 101-inch theater in my basement with a projection and 3D and all that stuff. I've got some TVs that I've got Xboxes hooked up to. So when I'm gaming and I'm bouncing around, sometimes I bounce around because the console I'm on has the games I want on it or something along those lines too. So if I'm getting out of the office or going on another console, or if it's later in the evening or earlier in the day or whatever, I might be playing on a different setup. But those are the 2 main ones that I would do something on.
So how many 360s would you say you have?
Well upward. I think I'm pretty close to 20, but I have I don't know. I think I shared a picture of it, but I have a closet where I've got 8 of them wired up to a security system monitor that they have at like a gas station or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it splits all the screens for you, and it's actually got network protocol, so I can put it up on my Surface and actually see what those ones are doing, and just have the controllers on my desk while I'm doing something else on the one on my main screen. Quake, that was pretty much how I got through Quake, and anything that requires a big boost, Red Faction, some of the other stuff. I use that for that. And then the other one, like I said, just hooked up to various TVs, screens, other places about the house.
Sure. Do you have any problems with controllers linking to particular machines when you've got that many Xboxes around?
No. I've had no issues with that. I mean, I can have eight controllers on my desk, and they're always syncing to the right ones. If I have to move them to somewhere else, that's fine too.
That's impressive. Kudos, Microsoft. All right, so I guess our last sort of question is more about sort of work, home, life, gaming balance. I've spoken with other people before about gaming getting in the way of sort of family life and things like that. How do you find that kind of balance works with you, and do the kids help out with gaming?
I mean, my daughter will run boost tag to me to shoot in the head sometimes, but she used to do that more when she was younger. Now that she's a teenager, she's lost all interest in helping with, running anything to me that's boring along those lines.
Sure.
But I mean, as far as the balance goes, one of the reasons I'm playing on consoles, not on PCs anymore, is that when you're doing things in an MMO online or with a lot of people, there's no real pause button.
True, yeah.
Whereas in console gaming, even if I'm, boosting online matches or something myself, if I stop, I'm not impacting anyone else. So I think console gaming helps with that balance more than anything where you do it online with a lot of other people and you feel like you're going to, pause their life as well. It's a lot easier if you're just pausing your own. A lot of people ask me why I don't stream or do anything on those lines. I spend so much of my time with the pause screen on my screen that most people would find it pretty boring.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really good talking with you. And
No, no problem.
Yeah, and all the best, and onward to 2 million, I guess.
Great, thanks. Best of luck to you guys too.
Well, awesome interview, Terrigan. That was fantastic. I appreciate that. So with that being said, let's move into our news for the week. Just kind of random bits and bobs here. One thing I want to mention, so by the time this comes out, only a few more days, but that dreaded Killer Instinct reset is happening on April 1st. So only a few days to listen to this. There was a Twitch feed by the Killer Instinct crew where they mention it. It's going to be a complete wipe. So all of your progress, your rankings, all that stuff, gone.
Wow.
So if you're close and you listen to this show right away, get on it because you want to claim what you can because you're getting a complete wipe. If you're interested, we'll put the link to that Twitch feed into the show notes. At the 1 hour and 23 minute mark is where they start talking about this, what happens. So you can, well, maybe that's 1 minute and 23 seconds. Ah, crap. I should have looked. Anyway, that's where they talk about what this season 3 wipe is going to be. So if you're near, I know there's some achievements tied to that. Good luck on those. The other piece of news that we got early was Minecraft Story Mode. So I didn't realize, because, I have it. I have the disc. I knew it was going to be 5 episodes. I didn't realize that the story ended in 4. Like, the 4 episodes that had released already kind of tells a total story. And maybe I'm misreading what they're talking about here. But they've announced episode 5. It's coming out soon, next week, I think. But then they went ahead and said, by the way, there's going to be episodes 6, 7, and 8 this year. So, if 1 through 4 was one, they're calling the Wither story, then episode 5, 6, 7, and 8, I think they just were. They made it sound like it was one-off tales of like, hey, we're just going to go on an adventure in the Minecraft world, kind of like the 400 Days type thing, where maybe it's just a small, or the Michonne series that Telltale's doing, kind of a more isolated individual experience. But to my knowledge, all of this is covered in the season pass.
Interesting.
So we might be looking at a 2,000 gamer score story mode here.
Well, that's good if it's in the season pass. Not so great for disc owners, I would say.
The disc only is simply a digital code for the season pass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's your license to the season pass. So, yeah, that's, because I bought it for my son for, I think for Christmas, or maybe Santa got it for him, one of the two. But anyway, yeah, and yeah, so it's literally just the season pass
right.
on disc. So, but yeah, 2,000 gamer score, that'd be great.
Always love more gamer score.
Right? The other piece of news that I thought was kind of interesting is Microsoft sent a survey out to their users and said, would you be interested to trade in your games for 10% of the original value? So if you bought a $60 game, they'd give you $6 credit, and then you could spend that as Microsoft currency. Does that do anything for you?
Now, you're talking specifically about digital games.
Digital games.
Yeah, that would mean that you would lose the license to that game, so you wouldn't be able to play it, obviously, because you're trading in something. Well, given the fact that there is absolutely no secondhand market whatsoever for digital games, I could say that yes, of course I would be interested. Whether 10% is a good enough return on that, but that's debatable, but it's certainly more than we're getting now. So for me, if they did that, I would probably jump on it for a few games for sure. And if it was credit against the account, it would probably just get spent on other games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you feel about it, Freem. Is that the sort of thing you'd want to do?
Well, so, I'm kind of like Crandy, where I like to have my collection, but it's digital, right? So I can't see anything, but it's nice to have it. And in the instance, too, where these achievement lists technically aren't frozen. One example was the game Omerta, the City of Gangsters, and I bought that day one because I loved XCOM, and I thought, oh, this is going to be XCOM with gangsters. Well, it wasn't quite that, but it was okay. But I 1K'd it in like 2 weeks, a week, 10 days. I don't know. It was super quick. Got the full 1,000, and that was it. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. So I've been sitting on it, and then that January was when Microsoft ran the, hey, trade in any game, and we'll give you $10 toward the purchase of a new game. And she's like, well, I completed that, 1K'd it, right? Let's just get rid of it. So I bundled a bunch of those together, got a bunch of Xbox One games, and then literally the end of January comes around, and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we've got brand new DLC 14 months after release, and it has Gamerscore associated with it. And it's like $20 or something. I'm like, are you kidding? There was never talk about anything beyond this game. And I guess I could have found that out through the PC side of it, but still, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So now I have to find a new copy of that game and then get a DLC to get my completion back.
Yeah, well, that's sort of an extreme case. You don't normally get DLC releasing that late after a game and fairly unannounced. But I can certainly see that kind of argument. There are a number of games that I've basically bought that I know I'm pretty certain that they'll never have DLC that I've completed and they will never get played again. Just because they're just there for points. In fact, the only reason I would keep them is if I was going to go for another world record attempt, because often a lot of those ones are quick. So I want to keep a few of those around just for that purpose. But yeah, there are certainly many titles that I've completed that are completely single player, self-contained, and I know that they won't have DLC just because of the nature of the game.
Yeah.
I would have no problem giving up my license for those, given that I'm just not going to use the game again. So
but like you said, Microsoft gets to pick the number. And 10%, so I went through my list of Games with Gold games that I have digitally now, because now there are, most of them are all backwards compatible. And it's like, well, if I have a digital copy, I'd rather play a digital copy than a physical copy, and my Ottoman is filling up too quickly with, games. I should purge this list a little bit. And I went through, and I had 30 games on the Games with Gold that I actually had a physical disc for as well. And so now I'm like, well, gosh, should I trade these in? Because I have the rights to the games digitally. What is this physical copy doing? And I went through, and it's like, well, yeah, the trade-in value on that's a quarter. Here's another quarter, right? Yep. So I could trade in those 30 games and get maybe $5, $6 back.
Hey, it's $6 more than you had before.
It is, but again, I don't have the games.
Yeah, the only reason I sort of keep physical copies when I have a Games with Gold copy is if there is multiplayer, and it can be helpful sometimes to have two copies running. So you can say, particularly if it's backwards compatible, you can run a copy on your Xbox One, run another copy on another account on your 360, and use that as a dummy.
Sure.
So that's sort of why I keep some of those around.
Yeah.
Others I tend to get rid of.
Generally
because they also lose their value pretty quickly if they've been Games with Gold. So.
Right. No, absolutely. And I'm not much of a games trade-in guy. So, I already wait for it to be pretty cheap. So I'm only out $15, $20 anyway to try and recoup 25 cents or $1 back. I'm like, it doesn't really do anything for me. Now, maybe if I was buying more $60 titles, then I'd be more inclined, but...
Yeah, I guess the other side of that is that you need space, so getting 25 cents to have more space in your Ottoman is probably a net gain, really. So don't devalue the price of clutter.
Oh, I'm such a pack rat, though. So the games, I have a box of games that I've completed, like L.A. Noire, right? That's done. I've got the complete season pass, everything so it's done. That will never be opened again.
Yep.
I could probably, so now I'm kind of sitting on it waiting, hoping I get another one of those deals where it's like $10 short a new game. You better believe it. I will trade that in for, that type of trade-in value. That's too much of a value to pass up. But otherwise, I'm sitting on my stuff. I'm a hoarder. Can't help it.
Yeah, I used to be. I tend to really dislike clutter these days, and I try and get rid of as much stuff as I can. It doesn't.
Good for you.
With mixed success, of course.
Right. So I mentioned already in the show that Psyonix, the creators of Rocket League, claims that they have figured out cross-platform play. So we mentioned in last show that Xbox has opened the door. I mean, they obviously want the Xbox and PC to be united. You know, they've got a vested interest in that. But Microsoft has also gone ahead and said, hey, we're totally going to open the door to any other platform if they want to get in on this. I'm good to go. Let's do it. Particularly, I think this was all geared toward getting Rocket League so all these communities can play together. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like that's who's been really asking for it. Like, hey, this is such an awesome game. It's so much fun. And everything is just skill-based. If you're spending money, it's all cosmetic. And so, you know, if you want to spend money on Microsoft cosmetic things like Sunset Overdrive or, the Halo stuff or the Gears of War stuff, like that is money that goes directly into the coffers of Microsoft. You know, and I bet if there's on the PS4, maybe there's a Nathan Drake Humvee or something. I don't know. But, they could isolate who they're paying the money to based on the cosmetic upgrades.
Yeah, and I guess if in the case of Rocket League, for them, part of their difficulty will be whether the assets are the same. If they've managed to figure it out so that the assets that they use for those kind of things are identical across the platforms, then that will simplify their connectivity a lot, because they can just basically say, like, they essentially pass the assets through. So you connect to a game, you'd also pass the assets for your particular model. So if it's a Halo thing, and that would mean that the PlayStation user would then download that particular asset to model that particular car. They wouldn't be able to buy it, but they'd be able to see the Halo model and know that was an Xbox player and that kind of thing.
Right.
And I think I sort of touched on it last episode as well, that really it's basically about writing a library which will translate between the kinds of networks. And I mean, in Psyonix, Rocket League will basically be sending all of the same kinds of network requests. They've just got to be bundled up and then transferred over the particular network in question, like PlayStation's network or Xbox. But that's essentially an encapsulation format. Really all they need to do is receive that from one network, unencapsulate it, then re-encapsulate it for the other network in order to get translation going. So it sounds like they've figured out that particular.
So that's how that you think that works. It's still, is it peer to peer then, or are these like servers that Psyonix is owning and they just pull in the data and then
I'm
like
actually not sure, but I suspect if they're going to go with network to network, it's going to need to go through some kind of middleman. I don't think you get a direct link from a PlayStation owner directly to a Xbox One. I'm not sure that would particularly work. It's got to go somewhere and get translated. Maybe that would even be in the game. Perhaps the actual game itself will go, okay, on PlayStation side, for example, it would say, okay, the client I need to speak to now to pass my details on is, it's peer-to-peer, say. The client I need to speak to is an Xbox One. So I will encapsulate it as an Xbox One and send it off to the translation service, which sends it to that rather than sending it directly to the peer. I don't know. There's probably a few more complicated things going on in there. I'm just sort of putting on my dev hat for a second and thinking about how it would actually work.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought too. Is that they'd pull in, and to me, I thought it was that because they're going with kind of an esports thing, that they might even just be hosting their own servers,
possibly, and
just saying, I'll pull in this, and put it all together. I'll just read a bit here from this interview. It was Psyonix president Jeremy Dunham speaking with GameSpot. And he said, the only thing we have to do now is to sort out where we stand politically with everyone. And then it's full steam ahead to finish the solution we've already started.
Full steam ahead. I get it. Sorry.
Technologically, everything works. We've got it figured out. Just a little bit of time to get everything up and running. Right now, excitement is the best way to put it. We just want to get there and make it happen. Elation is probably another word I would use. We are just excited. So that ends his quote. I think that's kind of where it stands now. Is they've likely because they have to understand the data coming from the Xbox One. They have to understand the data coming from PlayStation 4, and so they're if they're setting them up on their own servers or doing whatever, I don't think it's that dramatic to get the technology to work, and they've had an opportunity to get them both kind of to work maybe on their dev kits, and that's why they feel pretty comfortable about it.
Yeah.
again, it comes to this political thing, you know, and Microsoft, the way that it was stated in that Xbox Wire piece, they've opened the doors and they said, hey, we're totally cool with it. And Sony, commenting on that, has said, not so fast. We need to work some things out a bit.
Come on, Sony.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. Could you imagine a time when you could boost with somebody on a PlayStation? Like if you're grinding stun kills in Assassin's Creed
Yep.
with a PlayStation owner, like how cool would that be? Imagine the pool of possible boosters we could have.
Yeah. And we have the one true unified website.
Gamer trophies. I wouldn't want to do that. I don't want to mingle with them losers. I just want to help them. Fanboys. No, I mean, gamers are gamers, and to me, like that's my ideal utopian type thing is Steam, Xbox, PlayStation.
If the game's released on all of those platforms, there should be no reason that the multiplayer is separate. It really doesn't make any sense. You don't in decreasing or splitting up the player base for multiplayer like that just means the multiplayer dies earlier. I mean, there's really no reason to split it.
Agreed. Totally agree. You lose so much momentum, and then what you push your console. And I think though what that would shift to is a higher value on the exclusives. And that the two larger companies would be really putting their marketing dollars into getting the exclusive rights to things, and whether that those are timed or not, I don't know, or if they're just going to invest in development companies, Microsoft going out and buying new studios, I don't know. But that being said, I mean Microsoft's kind of already done that with Minecraft, even though they're not cross-platform, and they're already extending the olive branch, as it were, with Mojang.
Yeah, I mean they already. Yeah, Mojang were basically everywhere anyway. It wouldn't make sense to turn off, turn off a bunch of their platforms when Minecraft is such a well-loved property by the people who play it. So
right. So I think we're close. I think we're getting there. We could be mingling with our PlayStation counterparts. I mean, we're already writing trophy guides and that are helpful to achievement hunters.
Yeah, and vice versa. So yeah,
right.
Yeah, and I guess that might also open the doors for Destiny in the future, I suppose, to be cross-platform play.
Oh, but those exclusive guns that PlayStation has.
Yeah, but the thing is that those guns were actually already on them. This is one of my gripes about Destiny.
Oh my God, I know, right? And that, tell you the truth, with part of that Destiny news, there is going to be, Petrovenge is going to have exclusive missions for PlayStation owners.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I'm like, God, go suck an egg, Petra. You're terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, say, with the early Destiny anyway, with the Hawkmoon gun, I think was one of the sort of the primary ones that got a lot of use in multiplayer. That was actually already on the disc on the Xbox version. It just wasn't unlocked until a year later. So there was really actually no reason they couldn't have the PlayStation and the Xbox One worlds connected on Destiny. It's just that the people on Xbox couldn't access that particular gun and would be really, really frustrated getting shot down by it all the time.
Right?
Anyway.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Right? You're playing on the wrong console. You can play together, but you don't have all the stuff.
Yeah.
So good luck. Oh my God, that would be infuriating.
More so than it already was. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, what's this last piece here?
Just the Graw dev, Sir Allen, Christian Allen, actually is releasing, or he made an indie title in about 11 hours, he said, called Hotel Blind. Now it sounds like a great little title, which is basically essentially a black screen, and it runs at a full 120 frames per second. It's worth noting, and that's guaranteed. And it's essentially a simulator of walking around a hotel, stumbling over stuff. So look out for that one. I think we'll have that on the Shovelware Cemetery next week.
Oh my God, that sounds crazy! You know what it sounds like? That game Unfinished Swan. And it's just hearing that related to me, which it's a brilliant concept, and I know it goes into more puzzles, but just the opening concept is the entire world is white, There's no distinction at all. It's a world that's completely white, and your character starts the first set of puzzles. You walk around throwing black paint all over the place. And so, if it hits an object, it'll splatter and give it shape, right? So if you hit a corner, you'll see it fall down the side and go across the top. And so that provides context for where everything is. But if you go crazy and put too much paint all over, everything turns black and you can't see any distinction. So you got this like fine line of, am I getting enough detail? Am I seeing a hole that I need to? Am I, I just like, that sounds brilliant. It's just very simple mechanic, but totally brilliant. Anyway, so yeah, I'm curious. I can only imagine how cool there's that level in Limbo that's completely pitch black, and you have
the bonus level.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have to just listen to the grind of the saws going down and make sure you don't get chopped. Yeah, I remember that.
Right? Oh my god, I died at least 15 times on that little stretch there. But yeah, right, just like that. You hear things, you have to time it based on the Doppler effect, and yeah, it's cool. When I played Call of Duty back in the day, it was so valuable when I got my Turtle Beaches, and you could hear the footsteps and the clanking, and you got people sneaking up on you. You could hear that type of stuff.
Yep,
it was just invaluable. And yeah, it's amazing how much information you can get from audio cues. If that's what you're listening to, and I can only imagine a completely black screen where you have no visual distractions would be kind of cool.
But I'm not sure what to expect with this particular title, so I guess
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, is it 1080p?
I think so. Might even be 4K.
Better be.
Might even be 4K.
Better be.
Yeah. So we'll see anyway. But yes, Christian Allen was kind enough to provide us with a review copy for that. So hopefully we'll have a good peek at it next week.
Bingo. No, so we had this week then with no Shovelware Cemetery this week. We have a Gamerscore boot camp. It is kind of Easter themed because there's a bunny in it. This week is Hell Yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit, an underlooked old school arcade title. So here you go for your listening pleasure. Today's Gamerscore Bootcamp is Hell Yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit. This is a ridiculous 2D platformer that's a pretty easy completion. It's an old XBLA title from Arcado Studios back in 2012. Over 40% of all TA site users have unlocked all 12 achievements, and this game, though, only has a modest 400 Gamerscore. It typically takes around 10 hours, but there is a single luck-based achievement in there that could extend that time. I know, gross. A little story background. You play as Ash, the Prince of Hell, who also happens to be a rabbit. Ash becomes the victim of some scandalous photos that get sent to 100 monsters throughout Hell. Of course, you have to go, track them down, and then brutally kill everyone that has them. Right? Again, you're in Hell. 2 of those achievements are story-related. The first is early on, unmissable, and the last is for completing the entire game and killing all of the monsters who saw those photos. After killing 10 of those monsters, you're shown this island tutorial where the monsters you've killed get put into essentially a work camp. After that tutorial, set them to work and eventually they'll send you a gift, which also comes with an achievement. There are 3 achievements related to collectibles, but none of them require getting all of anything. You'll need 8 of the 11 possible weapons, 10 of the 54 possible helmets and masks, and only 5 of the possible 9 wheel customizations. And a good portion of these are found through various shops throughout the game. Others will be rewarded through the story, and the rest are found in presents hidden throughout the world. The world is relatively small and linear to start, as with most Metroidvania-type games, but you'll have an opportunity to revisit those games, and none of the achievements are missable. Each zone has a special secret gift, but you only need to find one of those for the Good Santa achievement. And at the end of Zone 4, you are visited by your future self, Ash 2.0, who opens up the world of secondary missions. Each level has 3 secondary missions, and you only need to complete 10 of them for this achievement. The other final achievements are pretty easy. There's one for killing 500 critters in the game, one for dying within 5 seconds of respawning, and a third for dying over 100 times throughout the entire game. And I actually had to grind that one out at the end, but it really only takes a few minutes, so save that to the end after you have found all of the monsters. The last achievement I'm going to cover is the luck-based one. The achievement is called Jackpot. There are slot machines in the casino area, as well as other places, and you need to go to them. They cost $10. You hit X to spin it, and X to stop it, and hope that you get triple sevens. The fastest way to do this is a turbo controller, but it's not terribly difficult or time-consuming. Again, you just have to get lucky. So that is it for this week's Gamerscore Bootcamp. I hope you enjoyed. All right, and let's move into Knobs and Discos this week, our weekly foray into unobtainable and discontinued achievements. I mentioned there we had some good news in the intro. What is that good news, Terrigan?
All right. Well, a few episodes ago, Crandy noted that the Games for Windows Live Marketplace had essentially broken, so you couldn't go and download anything from your history, which was a bit of a problem, particularly if you'd wiped your PC and you wanted to get those games again or those DLCs again. But it's apparently now working again. Xbox actually contacted Crandy back over Twitter to say that it was working, and it's been tested, and yay! So you can actually go and grab those games and DLC and all those items again, which is good.
Absolutely. Scoop them up.
Yeah, get them before that goes again, because who knows how long it'll stay up. But it is back, which is good. Now, unfortunately, as Crandy isn't on the show, we don't actually have a sort of a full report for the Knobs and Discos this week. But during the week, I did actually get in contact with the developer of 3/4 Home, just regarding their issues with achievements, and they are certainly working on it. The theory at the moment is that there was it's something in the Unity engine, or the version of the Unity engine that's being used in that game, and he's actually updating that version. So there will be an update for 3/4 Home with the newer version of the engine, and that will hopefully fix up some of the API calls. But we've basically been talking a little bit back and forth, and I'm hopeful that perhaps myself and maybe some members of the community might be involved in perhaps testing out a new version and seeing if we can get those achievements fixed. So if I get any further information on that, I will certainly update. But it seems that the developer is responding and is interested in fixing it still, even though there's been some speculation on certain threads on certain websites that the developers like blocking people or something like that. I'm not sure that that's true, because he was certainly responsive to me.
Good.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear. That's absolutely nice to hear. So, backwards compatibility, game delay roundup. Let's put these two together. We got a slew of backwards compatible games this week. The original Assassin's Creed, Grid 2, Dark Void, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and like we mentioned, Dark Souls has finally hit the list. And so, yeah, keep your eyes out for when we start posting or talking about the Freem visits Dark Souls for the first time. It should be a bloodbath. A couple of delays to mention. Dangerous Golf got delayed until June, unfortunately, and Adrift, the space explorer. Well, it's not exploration. Essentially the movie Gravity. So I pre-ordered that. And I was like, okay, cool, this will be great. And then I got an email from the Microsoft Store saying, your game has shipped. Like, oh, wow, I didn't even think it got a release date, but apparently it's shipping. That's fantastic, okay. And then 4 hours later, I got an email saying, yeah, no, that was a mistake. It actually got delayed until September 16th. So it's not coming, and it's going to actually extend out until September. Do you want to cancel your pre-order? Yes, please.
Okay.
So that's a bummer, but Adrift delayed until September 16th. So we're going to wrap up the show with a bit of Zombie News Corner. one of my favorite games from the 360 era, Deadlight. I really liked this little 2D platformer, zombie-type world. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, there is the director's cut coming to Xbox One in June. Now, they've added an arena mode to it.
Huh?
I'm so confused about
How's that going to work? Okay.
Right. That's what I don't get. Okay, so like the game, your guy isn't, I mean, he gets tired really easily. He's not like overly athletic. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? It's a survival thing. You have to use the elements around, be smart with your, the 2D world, and get through. But yeah, they've got some sort of weird survival arena mode is what they're calling. And I don't know. I don't know what this means.
I guess, yeah, we'll find out. But
yeah,
I wonder if there's going to be achievements associated with that.
Well, and I have to imagine that it's going to end up being a new list. This kind of complete version of it. And to tell you the truth, it's a quick completion. So keep your eyes out for this one, because barring any sort of long arena type stuff, I guess I don't know what that part of the list might look like, but the base list is remarkably simple.
We should get this one on once it releases for the Xbox One. We should do that for a boot camp.
Yeah, that's a good call. So there's that. The Telltale announced The Walking Dead Season 3 will start this year. They didn't provide a lot of other details, but sometime in 2016, Season 3 will be starting. And not to be outdone by Deadlight, the Escapists, The Walking Dead, right? So the standalone Escapist expansion is getting a free survival mode DLC. Again, a game that isn't about combat, getting a survival mode DLC. You're going to be shooting, killing zombies all over your little, prison type area. There's going to be weapons, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Now, the Escapists do add achievements to their DLC, so I'm not sure if this survival mode DLC is coming with achievements, but I would be pretty surprised if it didn't. So keep your eyes out for that as well. But there you go, a trio of zombie-related titles, and two of those are Walking Dead-related.
I actually watched the Dead Rising Watchtower movie last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's fairly low budget, isn't it?
Yes.
But it wasn't bad. Yes, it was definitely in the vein of Dead Rising. I could see that. It was a bit of fun.
Yeah,
quite like it, actually.
Wasn't anything crazy, wasn't anything great, but you certainly didn't feel like you wasted your time watching it. It was entertaining for the 90 minutes or whatever it was.
And Frank West.
Brilliant, right? Right? Yeah, you guys are pretty much all effed.
Yeah, they're all screwed. But just find a weapon, just, got to try and survive. Yeah.
That's some good stuff. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for listening to the show this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Terrigan and I had an awesome conversation today. And it was super fun. So if you out there could help us out, though, and spread the word, we would love if you could give us ratings on any of the podcast apps that you use. Help us spread the word. And if you do, let us know.
Yeah.
We want to give you guys a thumbs up for going out of your way and helping sponsor the show, spread the word of the show, give us some positive feedback. We absolutely could not do this without the care and support that our community has provided us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, on that, we actually do get a notification once a month for all of the iTunes reviews, but of course that's not very sort of timely.
Right.
We basically have to go in and manually do that. We don't get notifications directly from iTunes themselves. We have to go and look those things up. So if you want us to mention it, and we haven't mentioned it for a show or two, it's probably that we just haven't seen it yet. But we will get to it once it comes through on the monthly, but otherwise let us know earlier. For other networks like Stitcher or any of the podcast sort of apps that have their own review networks, we don't or won't necessarily know that those have happened, so certainly let us know if you do put those reviews in and want the shout out on the show, because we certainly want to know that those things are out there, and we certainly want to give a shout out to all the people who have given us reviews and helped us out, certainly over the course of the show. So.
We so appreciate it, and you guys are just great. We also love the fact that you guys go over to our website, z2z.com. You track down those show notes. You can look at credits to all of the stories we talked about and links to anything that we went into on the show here, plus links to probably some other fun things. And
so I'll just apologize. At the time of recording, episode 14 does not have a detailed show notes, but I will get that up over the next day or so from recording.
We haven't forgot about you. And of course, you guys can always contact us. Probably the easiest is Twitter at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. Email. We've got 2 so far. Keep them coming. Contact at Z2Z.com. There is a leaderboard over at TrueAchievements.com. The Z2Z podcast, where we can reach out to you guys. Our friend feeds, our private messages. We're still over at the Achievement Hounds every now and again. Just hit us up wherever you can.
Facebook page as well. And for the moment, the Facebook group. We didn't actually get any responses from the last week's show about the Facebook group as yet, but we'll leave that open for a little while and see how it goes.
Yeah. It's been, like Facial said, been a short turnaround between shows. But we do want to give a shout-out to all the sites that make achievement hunting a reality. In this podcast, specifically, so TrueAchievements.com, Achievement Hounds Community, their podcast, XboxAchievements.com, the Xbox Roundtable, Macca and his guides, Xbox... Who am I missing? I think that's... GameSpot helped out this week, so thanks for that. And, of course, we could not do this without Microsoft and their awesome support of the Xbox console. So, on behalf of Terrigan, this has been Brandon.